Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? This is your boy T Fitness coming at you again. I'm so sorry about not posting a video a while back. We have been working on a lot of things behind the scenes. A lot of things has been going on, but right now everything's settled at the moment. And right now we're just kind of switching some gears to focus on one thing that I think is hitting most of you guys today, and that is finances, finances, finances. The reason why we want to touch on that is because we found out in the latest poll that finances is one of the biggest cause of stress among a lot of millennials in this country, among everybody else, but most of millennials. And I found an article that kind of reinforced that stress level. Here at this website, Go Banking Rates, claim that 11 reasons millennials think they have it tougher than their parents. Now, to be honest with you, I think that this is the most unnecessary stress out there simply because in America, I don't know about any other country, but in America, this is one country where we shouldn't even be stressed out about finances because there's so much opportunities all around us. But at the same time, you see it when you ask for it. And unfortunately, not a lot of people seek out additional ways of earning an additional income without actually working extra hard. In other words, it's like saying that how can I attract $1,000 more into my bank accounts without working for it? And I don't know about you, but I was brought up in a paradigm where you want to earn some extra money without working extra hours for it. You know, you were kind of criticized for that of being, lazy or a moocher or anything like that, but that is a very entrepreneurial way of asking that question. How can I attract an extra $1,000 in my bank account now? What would it take for me to attract an extra $5,000 into my monthly income every single week? And saying that is actually free to do, and it actually justifies the scripture right here. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no asterisk that says, "Oh, unless you get a job, then you can attract this into your life." So, otherwise, let's go on to our topic here, where it talks about why millennials think that they have it tougher than their parents. Now, this one right here says, in the article, it says, when it comes to finances, millennials have it rough. Well, in my opinion, the only way that you believe that you have it rough is if you listen to your broke friends, or you watch too much news, or you watch too much TV, or being overly entertained but not getting enough information that give you some value. As a matter of fact, we have such a short. I want to say we. I don't want to attach myself to that consciousness, but the majority of people in this country have very short attention span. Why? Because there's so much information bombarding at them all at once, from left and right, north, east, west, and south. It's like coming at them all at one time. And then at the same time, most of them don't even know how to read. That's why they do a bunch of hashtags and a bunch of emojis and stuff. And thirdly, is because the financial intelligence business knowledge has been taught in us in school. And if you want more information about the history of the school and why business was never taught in school, I recommend you guys to check out this girl's channel that she explains the history of our school system. And you can just jot on that right there and watch that. I highly recommend you to check it out, because we're not going to go deeper into that. Right now we're focusing on why millennials should not feel like they have it tougher than their parents. And it goes on to say data shows that members of this generation, people born between 81 and 97, are saddled with student loan debt, delaying major milestones such as home ownership, and less financially secure than their parents, the baby boomers. Let me stop there for a second. Delaying major milestones such as home ownership. Now, I really want to just jack that out real quick, because if you don't own a home, good for you. Don't own a home, because it's one of the biggest financial facades that have ever been created in the history of this country. And if you want a really good reason of why home ownership is such a myth, is such a, to me, is the biggest financial fraud that is actually being promoted by the government, by banks. It is a financial fraud at its best, because it makes the banks so much money. But if you want to know why home ownership is such a fraud, it's so fake, and it's the biggest financial money pit you could ever put yourself into, I highly recommend you guys to pick up this book right here. It's from my boy Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of my favorite financial books of all time. You can go ahead and grab it in the link, just to go ahead and order it. You know, whether we make money off of you clicking on the link or not, it doesn't matter. What I want you to do here at T Fitness is we just not only focus on your physical fitness, but we also focus on your spiritual, mental, add in financial fitness at that. Okay, so I want you guys to be very intelligent, very aware, and I want you guys to be really ready mentally when you get in your financial house, when you get in your mental house in order, and that all starts with finances. Okay. And it goes on to say, and based on the result of recent survey for Go Banking Rates, millennials have certainly noticed that their path to the American dream seems much more difficult than that of generations that come before. Well, guess what? I feel like that's good news. Why? Because
There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all, at all, at all. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
And indeed, you have to be asleep to believe it, because the American dream is not even your dream. What I want you to do is, I want you to look at these two factors. The biggest major milestone that you can ever do in your entire life is be your own ownership. Be your mind ownership. Own your mind. Get your mind back in order. And the only dream that you should be focusing on is your dream. The dream of your I am, which we're going to touch on that later on. It says, go on to say, The poll asked some 995 millennials about the economic climate for millennials, and about 2 and 3 said millennials have had it worse than their parents and other prior generations. I want to know why. Again, because they're watching too much goddamn news. They may now be on the verge of becoming the largest generation, but are millennials really worse off than boomers were they when they were young? Are there perceptions about how baby boomers versus millennials have it at point and at odds with the underlying data? Should I ever get started on this one, I kind of felt that they were going to put this one as one of the biggest priorities. Millennials have higher college costs. It's no secret that the cost of college has been rising. A Go Banking Race analysis found that the annual cost of four-year public university has soared more than 3,700% between 64 when the youngest boomers were born. I don't even want to go through all this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. To be honest with you, I feel like college is the second biggest financial fraud in the history of this country. Literally, if millennials feel like they're in their worst financial situation than baby boomers, then why the fuck are colleges still costing so high? It's obvious that you guys are not getting the product that you've been asking for, which is, I don't even know what the fuck y'all asking for. All I know is that it seems as though the more people come out of college, the dumber they get. It seems like that the more people go online and do their own research at their free time that actually costs about maybe what, $27 a month, if that, get a more in-depth, intelligent education than college kids. And that's just for me. I didn't even go to college. For businesses already that could easily pay off any college debt, and I'll share that with you later on in this program. To be honest with you, this list to me is so mentally draining. And I don't want to do this, y'all, but if you want to, just look at this whole list and you guys can read it yourselves. Check it out. Because I just want to get to the meat of the information I want to share with you. I actually want to stop at this one. Let's talk about health care costs. This one actually hit home to us because we're obviously in the health and wellness business. I'm gonna tell you something right now. In my own opinion, but based on data and statistics and the reality of science. Healthcare, in my opinion, starts with what you put in your mouth. It starts with what you get at the grocery store. It starts with what you spend on your grocery bill. It starts with what kind of food you buy. The more shitty, artificial food you buy, the less your body is going to absorb it, is going to use it, digest it, and be able to use it and convert it as energy for you to live. The more shit you put in your body, the higher your healthcare costs will be. Let me say it again. The shittier your food is and the shittier you put in your mouth, the higher your healthcare costs will be. Healthcare starts with what you put in your kitchen, your cabinets, your pantry, and it starts with what you cook on your stove, and it also starts with what you put in your mouth. Plain and simple. Healthcare costs always start with your diet. The shittier your diet, the shittier your healthcare costs. The better your diet, the better your healthcare costs. Healthcare costs in this country shouldn't even be so fucking high. But because they fucked up our foods back in the 1950s with all this pesticide and shit, it raised our healthcare costs, obviously. And then they added more of these branded diseases since the past 50 years and wanted to call it this and call it that and create a vaccine for this and a pill for that. We pop more pills than any other country on earth, so it's obvious that the healthcare cost is rising, but the quality of healthcare costs is diminishing. Why is that? Because we have the shittiest diet in the entire world. So what is it left for you and I? What is that left for you and I? Is what we buy at the grocery store. We have the ability to control our healthcare costs based on what we choose to buy at the fucking grocery store. Plain and simple. I can't even get more easier or simpler than that. And if those out there who cannot get that, then obviously, I need to buy some stocks in United Health Group and Aetna and Cigna because they're going to make a lot of money. And I don't blame politics for fucking with people's emotions debating about health care. I don't blame them. So we all have a choice to make. Either you take control of your healthcare costs by what you're going to buy at the grocery store or the nutrition that you're going to choose right now, or I want you to go back on CNN and Fox News and trip about what the government want to play with your emotions, with Trump care or whatever the fuck care they want to pass by. Healthcare costs are heftier now. Absolutely, yes. It is healthier now. Or you could choose a more healthier alternative solution, which I'm going to share with you in this video later on. So, again, like I mentioned before, we're kind of touching on finances right now. This is one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to financial advice. I cannot stand this word, retirement. I want to break that word down. Retirement. Retire. You're tired, aren't you? So you want to do it again. You want to repeat being tired again and again and be bored and don't do shit. This is what retirement talks about. Ever since I was a teenager, they always talk about, they even started with us. When I was around 17, 18 years old, they always talk about, oh, you want to save for your retirement. You want to save for your retirement. Instead of saying, hey, why don't you put $1,000 aside and see if you can start a business? Or why don't you put $1,000 aside and buy books that teach you how to invest? Like literally how to invest in stocks or bonds or how to invest in real estate or something like that. Something that would get you some income now that you can actually live instead of waiting 40, 50, 60 fucking years on retirement of what? Now, I'm not tripping on people who are saving for retirement. I'm not tripping on you about that. But what gets me is that they make it sound like that's the only goddamn fucking option in this country for you to save for fucking retirement. Is that all you live for? Is pay bills and save for retirement? Well, let's see who's making money off of your so-called retirement.
After 1974, the rules of retirement changed, and suddenly it forced E's and S's into the I quadrant with no financial education, and they started to put their money into these retirement plans. And suddenly, voila, a whole new industry was born called financial planners. And today, it takes 30 days to become a financial planner. It still takes a year and a half to become a massage therapist. You know what I mean?
What do you think of mutual funds?
I think they're a great way to make money if you sell them to other people. Well, I think it's one of the worst places a person could put money. They really do. They make other people rich. You know, hidden fees, expense ratios, and you talk about the law of compound interest. Well, there's the law of compound expenses.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If I say to you, invest for the long term, you know what I mean, for 30, 40 years, what do you think about that in a paper asset?
You've lost control that quick.
Also, if you saw my previous videos, I always talked about there's no such thing as the past or the future, that's only here and now. And I know some people may have a problem with that. And it's really hard for me to cover why that is so. So I'm just gonna just throw a lot of videos to you guys because this video talks about why that's the case. But there are people out there who have actually invested a lot of time, longer than I have, that explains why time is irrelevant and time does not exist. So I recommend you guys to give you a more in-depth of reason why time doesn't exist and why the word retirement is one of the biggest financial traps of all time. Listen, you guys want to trip on Bernie Madoff and all these so-called financial fraud hucksters. Let me tell you something. This whole thing, all this is the biggest financial traps I can't even, it fathoms me. That no wonder millennials feel like they're in a shitty situation than boomers. The shit that's being sold to them almost every day is mind-boggling. Let's move on. Oh, hallelujah. A light at the end of, well, not at the end of the tunnel, but I see a little bit of light on this article. It says millennials aren't optimistic about retirement, though. However, Haynes said he doesn't see retirement as millennials' end game. Instead, they want to achieve financial freedom. Hallelujah. Now that explains why we're so successful and why people just run into us in droves, because they realize what the name of the game is today. It says, in quote, it could mean retirement, but for many it means being able to do what it is that they want to do when they want to do it. In quote, it means not being tied down to a boss, but rather creating opportunities for themselves for what it is that they care about, whether it's a side hustle, creating a job they're passionate about, or giving back to their communities, unquote. Oh man, if you guys love to hear that, then you need to click this link right now and find out what he's talking about. Find out what we do with our customers and our business partners. It's so easy. If you got $200, you know how much money millennials spend on takeout? You just bought your business 5 times over if you bought takeout at least once a week. Let's say every Friday for this whole month. This is the beginning of May already. If we don't post this already, it's the beginning of May. If you spend on takeout this Friday and do it for the remainder of this month, you already bought your business that's going to give you financial freedom 3 times over already. See, this is why I like to challenge this whole facade of the income gap and the wealth gap. All of that's bullshit. If you don't have priority and you don't have focus on where you can invest your money and starting a side business that's actually really no big deal to do, is actually you're basically monetizing what you do all the time. When you like a product or service, you're going to recommend it to your friends and family. Obviously, it's like a human nature thing to do. We've been doing this since we've been crawling out of the slime. You're basically monetizing that in the business that we do, and I'll share with you later on in the thing. It says that's good because although some of the failure to save more for millennials could be by choice, the millennial survey clearly shows that they see their prospect for ultimately retiring comfortably. See, these people are so obsessed with retiring. I can't read this anymore. It's just let's move on. Retirement. Here's my final take on this whole argument of who have it worse, boomers or millennials. I honestly believe it has nothing to do with numbers or what you spend or how much you have in the bank or what you get or invest in. To be honest with you, I think it has something to do with your mindset versus a state of mind. I think those who have it worse because they have a closed mind. They don't want to learn anything new. They don't expand their mind, which expand more information to come to them. That information give them knowledge, and that knowledge give them more confidence to venture out into other business opportunities and ideas that's all around them. It's all around you, ladies and gentlemen. It's all around you. And if you have the information at home, I'm not trying to make this a biblical study thing, but I have to go back to my favorite chapter, Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. If you do not have knowledge and vision, you will perish. So it's obvious that wherever you're a millennial or boomer, however you want to brand yourself, if you do not expand your mind and if you do not have a definiteness of purpose, then you will fail. You will fail. You will fail with the same stagnant mentality that you brought in coming to the game. I ask you to expand your mind to wherever it is that you desire. Therefore, you will have it. You will build your own economy. How about that? Fuck the American economy. Fuck the world economy. How about building your own economy? And that's why I want to stay here at T Fitness, is helping you get to that level. Also, increase your mind. Read more books. Guys, let me tell you something. We are being a severely illiterate country. Our society can't even read. How the fuck are you gonna build a prominent country with a prominent defense system when you can't even read? You have to increase your literacy, guys. You have to, so you can read the labels on the food that you're eating that could possibly cause you to get fucked up with healthcare or optimize your healthcare, either or. But you gotta read. I recommend you read those books that I talked about. But let me reverse one more time before I leave. I think this goes right back to following the patterns of this world. You know, again, I don't know if I told you guys before, I grew up in a religious household. I grew up as a Christian, so did a lot of Bible study and things like that. Even though I'm not a Christian anymore, I still respect the biblical scriptures. I still respect the principle it's talking about. And one of the scriptures that I really want to highlight is about following the patterns of this world. Now, whether you're religious or scientific or what, one thing goes to show that when you attach your I am to a group, you end up having your mind captivated to whatever information that group has. That group is going to be biased on certain information that may not be to your best will, or that will serve you in the way that you want it to serve you. If you attach your I am to a group of people, you're going to be locked into that box forever and ever. When you allow yourself to be free and to open yourself to information that based on your agenda, what you want to do, you're going to get to create information that will be to your best interests. Okay? With that being said, healthcare, and I reference this because I'm in health and wellness. We're all in health and wellness. Healthcare always start with what you put in your mouth. It always start with your food. Okay, when that term says we are what we eat, and our healthcare cost is skyrocketing, I think that they do that not because they're providing a better product for you, but because they're actually fucking with you, since if you want to remain in the patterns of this world, then they're going to charge you for it. They're going to really fuck you up for it as long as you attach your I am to the world. But when you start to overstand and look at it from a spiritual and energetic point of view, you'll be able to tap into information, products, and services that will help your body feel a whole lot better, where you can also lower your health care while getting the best benefits out of that lower health care. Lowering your health care costs, but increasing the benefits of health care. It all starts with what you eat. I recommend you guys to click on this link, look at other options, and see if our alternative resonates with you. It may not be, but at least be open to the information. It's free. And if you don't do it, then you have to also accept the fact that the only information that you already know, if it haven't not done any favors for you yet, you're still going to repeat the pattern again and again and again. And I would not blame United Health Group banking on the ignorance that we perpetuate ourselves in when we don't open ourselves to new information. So open yourself up to new information. Click the link below. Look at what we have to offer and see if it resonates with you. This is T Fitness Live. I love you so much. Thank you for listening. Namaste.